there is a level of truth to this shit. Like, I understand you shouldn't believe everything you see, but you watch the news and you see, damn, like this motherfucker got robbed, this motherfucker got like held up, like someone stole this person's truck. All of these things are always happening, right? If you ever have the Ring app or whatever those apartment apps are, you see this crime. I don't think people are just making that shit up, right? You gotta think, okay, all this shit's happening around me. I need to better prepare myself. But at the same time, it just makes me think like, how much of this shit is bullshit? How much money am I going to throw into a home security system and, set up the whole smart home with this hub and have this in place and this connects to this and then I get the alert and it's like, just go buy it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ajay Patel Show. My name is Ajay Patel and this is episode 85. 85. My mistakes on the last couple of episodes. Looks like I doubled down on 79 or 81. I forget which one I doubled down on, but I lost count after the 5th episode. And next thing you knew, I kind of went back and I just saw that all these episodes were absolutely out of order. So my bad on that. You'll see some of these, video thumbnails change along the way just because I have to rename them, redo it, all that stuff. But, eventually, every time I have to record this podcast, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm going to keep it a buck 100. It's just like this thing, all day today. I was home alone. Ooh, you know what I'm saying? After some Wingstop last night, I even walked to go get the Wingstop. That's right. I'm a changed man. I thought, you know what? Yeah, I got some turkey meatballs. Yeah, I got some chicken in the fridge. But you know what I want? Wife's out of town. You know what I got to get? Some of that fried chicken. You know what I'm saying? And I thought about it. Should I go to Cane's? They are just like sometimes good enough. And it's a little light. It's not big. It's not that good. But then it was like, you know what? Go walk for it. Also, I was a little, you know what I'm saying? So I can't, drive. But I started walking and it made me wonder like, damn, bro, when did I turn into such a bitch? I was closing my garage and it's dark outside. I'm wearing a hoodie, some shorts, walking over to Wingstop, which is about a mile down. And every little sound, every little tree branch shaking a little from the wind, someone stepping on a twig or something, and I'm snapping my neck to the left. I'm snapping. And it's like, damn, bro, like this shouldn't be this, this scary, I guess to say. Who is going to do what to me? I understand we probably have a serial murderer, a serial killer on the loose in Houston. They found about like 100 bodies at this point in the bayou. Why? Maybe I should be scared. Maybe they do want to, up their game. Hey, you know what? We were going for these 80-pound girls. Let's go for this 200-pound motherfucker over here. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But it made me wonder like, okay, look, there's this fine line between like fear and just like reading the terrain. You know what I'm saying? Like knowing some bullshit's going to come. When you don't put yourself in certain situations and then you say, okay, you know what? Yeah, I did that so I could avoid, possibly falling, possibly injure myself, possibly get into a wreck, whatever it is. But it's people will get you like, oh my God, he's so anxious. Oh, he's so anxious. He overthinks everything. And it's like, yeah, but like I'm still alive. I'm still breathing. I'm still doing all right. But last night was one of those, and don't get me wrong. I'm trying to better myself at it. So last night I said, you know what? Fuck it. No fear. Look, this area is a little hot for the homeless. You know what I'm saying? And I ran into one individual that was screaming, just hollering. Definitely off some bath salts or some crack. Who knows what it was? I didn't ask him. I didn't talk to him personally. I thought about it. I did think about it because it's like, you know what could this dude actually do to me? Unless he has a gun, if he has a knife, I'm pretty fast. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like the Flash fast, but if I was taking me or a crackhead in a foot race, a crackhead that's shorter than me in a foot race, I kind of got my money on me. And so, you know what? I do want to pat myself on the back and just then, like I want some of this more. Like, would I do this with my wife? Would I do this with my future child? I don't think so. Because at the end of the day, it's very easy to defend myself. It's very difficult to defend 3 people. You can go one-on-one with someone. How do you defend 3 people from an individual, right? Or maybe it's a group of people. But then it made me think, like, for real, when did I become such a bitch? Like, this should not be that crazy, right? People in all the other bigger cities, right? Whether it's like New York or London, what's another walkable city? Like the DCs of the world, maybe some inland, downtown Miami or whatever it is. You just walk to go get your food. You know what I'm saying? You say, hey, I'm hungry, or maybe I'm going to go to the bodega to pick up some fucking toilet paper, or I just want a bag of chips or something. You go downstairs, maybe you walk a block, maybe you walk 2 blocks. And you don't have this fear in your head of like, oh shit, like what if? But in some parts of Houston and Dallas too, it's like this thing where you just don't leave the house after a certain hour. And if you are, then you better be getting in a car, getting in an Uber, whatever it is, and going straight to your destination. And that's what's weird, right? It's like, is it that bad out there? Is crime and all that stuff that bad out there? Or has the media actually flooded our head with this shit? Right now, I'm trying to figure out what cameras to install on the house, right? And my friend John, fan of the show, he told me, he said, hey, man, you just buying that nonsense. Because one time I went to their house, and I'm not going to disclose too much, but he didn't have certain security measures in place that I thought would be necessary. And he said, what the fuck is that going to do? And I said, I don't know. Maybe you get alerted. Maybe you see when someone steals your package. He said, what is that going to do, though? If someone comes here and their intent is harm, right? They come here with a gun, a baseball bat, a knife, whatever it is, they're going to get inside. Turn this fucking Teams message off. They're going to get inside. And what is the camera going to do? Right? Like, you might get a little alert to it, but they're getting inside. And then what? And then you just have a recording of it? Then you got to pass that on to the cops if you're still alive. And it did make me think, like, damn, bro, like, these companies, Ring, Eufy, what's another big one? Arlo, they've made a killing off of this shit. They've made a killing off of this, like, fear of just everyday people, of everyday life. Once again, I'm still on that fine line. I'm on that fine line of, like, there is a level of truth to this shit. Like, I understand you shouldn't believe everything you see, but you watch the news and you see, oh, damn, like, this motherfucker got robbed. This motherfucker got, like, held up. Someone stole this person's truck. All of these things are always happening, right? If you ever have the Ring app or whatever those apartment apps are, you see this crime, right? You see this, the posts flood in, and it's very, like, I don't think people are just making that shit up, right? Like, you got to think, okay, you know what? All this shit's happening around me. I need to better prepare myself. But at the same time, it just makes me think, like, how much of this shit is bullshit? How much money am I going to throw into a home security system and, set up the whole smart home with this hub and have this in place and this connects to this, and then I get the alert, and it's like, just go buy a gun. Just go buy a gun. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 85. And yes, that is my message. Honestly, if you live in Texas, just go buy one. Just go buy one. In no sort of way related, get ready for the craziest pivot. They opened the most beautiful motherfucking Ismaili Center in the world in Houston. My boy and Narain and I were driving around. This was probably about a month ago. And I forgot what we were doing. We were just picking some shit up. And we saw this beautiful, damn near like campus-like building. You would have thought it was like a library, some type of just like community center. And don't get me wrong, an Ismaili Center is a community center, but you would think this place belonged to some University of Houston, but belonged to Rice University. It belonged to some big entity. Just the detail, the all glass walls up on the hill. It has 4 or 5 buildings attached to it. Beautiful landscape. Oh my gosh, and a parking lot. Oh, it's above everything. So all these people on the common road can see it as they go by, but they can't necessarily, just hop on in. Now, weirdly enough, every big city I've lived in, not every big city I've lived in, growing up in Irving, Texas, that was the first kind of, it wasn't an Ismaili Center. This was more so a mosque. And it was one of the biggest and newest on the block at the time. And I remember I used to go over there and play basketball with my friend Ikram. And you would hear these bells go off at a certain hour. You know, it was prayer time, whatever it is. But I always felt this idea of like, nah, you know, I can't go inside. And I can't go inside, right? Like I'm just not allowed to. My last name's Patel. They might see it. They might see that I have no facial hair. But back to this Ismaili Center. This place, I looked it up, and man, it's a pretty big deal. So let me pull it up right here. The Ismaili Center is the first of its kind in the United States, though there are others globally, and it is located in Houston on an 11-acre site along Allen Parkway and Montrose Boulevard, adjacent to the Buffalo Bayou, where they're finding all the bodies. It is cultural, educational, social, and spiritual hub. While it includes a prayer hall, it is not just a mosque. See, is it Ismaili Center? Oh, okay. I see what I'm saying. Like that was a mosque. This other one, this is a mosque and cultural hall center, whatever. Its mission is broad in public engagement, dialogue, cultural community. The architect is significant, designed by whatever, covers 150,000 square feet, and is built to high durability standards, designed for a 100-year lifespan. It's built on land owned by the Aga Khan Foundation USA, which acquired the site in 2006. Now, I took a peek at, because it's always like, how do they finance this shit? You know, like who is paying for this? The ICH is owned by, the Ismaili Center of Houston, ICH, is owned by the Aga Khan Foundation, which we just talked about. Land purchased in 2006. They filed in 2021 with the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, which was about $176 million. Now, this shit's always impressive to me. Like, I do want to say, to an extent, I always think all religions, a lot of cultural, to an extent, is a scam, right? The amount of money that gets taken out and put into circulation and gets stuff done with it, whatever it is, it's a tie. You know, I think it's a scam to some extent. But then when I see shit like this, and it's just like, you know what? This is a good ass scam. Then, out of all the scams in the world, out of all the scams you could possibly run into in the Houston area, this is a good one. This is a great one. Like, when the money goes back into the principal, when you get to use it in some way, right? Your money wasn't able to build this shit by itself, right? Your 33% of your paycheck wasn't going to build this. But the 33% of the entire Ismaili community at all, you know, and this isn't just Houston, right? This is all around, gets to build this amazing cultural center. And now if you live in Houston, guess what? You get to indulge in it. You get to send your kids there. Maybe they have a class or two. And then boom, guess what? It's also a prayer hall. There's also a prayer hall there. And this is the beauty of it, right? Like for me personally, as the Gujarati boy I am, we had this place called the GCS Hall in Grand Prairie. Fucking raggedy ass place, bro. Now, the only thing that was normally held here was like garbas and a lot of like people's weddings. And there was like a play pit outside where, you know, there's a ball pit, all this shit, a couple patches of grass. All the kids used to play football in the parking lot. People getting hit by cars and shit. But it was a good time, right? It was a good time back then. Then it all got moved over to what a lot of people know as, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, as the SLPS Hall. All the money moved there. And then it's a different level of money, right? You see the donors on the wall, the different tiers of bronze, gold, silver, whatever it is. And all that money has built this massive hall. Now, don't get me wrong. Make no mistake, that hall compared to this Ismaili Center, get out of here. Get out of here. You go to the SLPS Hall, you could design that shit in a day. In a day, bro. White walls inside, fucking hotel, bro. Literally, they took the carpet from somebody's hotel and put it into this hall, and then, you know, put some walls up. Hey, we have to have a place where people buy their, you know, dosas and Coca-Colas and water bottles, right? Okay, let's have a little kitchen stand there. They put a little kitchen in the back. You could design that shit in a day. Now, this is Ismaili Center. Don't get me wrong, I haven't been inside, but boy, it looks impressive. And it made me think, like, how do I get inside? How do I get inside? the money to build this, bro. That I love a good scam. You know, a good scam that comes back to the community that you get to use. And yes, I apologize. I understand calling it a scam is already a negative terminology, but I like the donation. How about that, huh? I like the use of the funds. I like the use of the funds. The federal government takes, 33% of our paycheck and does some bullshit with it, right? There's a bunch of bullshit with it, whether it's just Congress people doing this and that, people going on vacation, work from home jobs, sending it to some transgender rights in some African prison. They do bullshit with it. Now, I have not verified the exact percentage, but back in the day, I heard it was 30% of your paycheck from this Ismaili community goes to the imam, goes to the imam, and then there, I think shit like this happens. Now, which one seems better off? Which one feels like, okay, you know what? At least this is kind of worth it. In college, we had a friend, my boy. He dated an Ismaili girl, and her parents were in charge of transporting the money. For a solid week and a half, me and my boys, we actually plotted on how to rob her parents. No, it's no bullshit. Like, we did not care about their relationship that much. One, because, forbidden love. And then two, bro, money. Forbidden love, though. So why not take it? We never did it, obviously. You see me in this prison cell damn near with nothing on the walls. Also, real quick, what color do y'all think I should paint this wall? Because this is probably going to be the studio. Forbidden love, though. How do I get into this Ismaili Center? Dude, look, I'm already married. I have a kid. She's not Ismaili. Can a brother take me? Can a brother take me? I don't know. I'm obviously not marrying into this. Did I get close? No, I didn't. But on the subject of forbidden love, everybody knows someone. Everybody knows someone where you saw their relationship and you were like, yeah, that probably ain't happening. Come on, bro. Whether you're a Hindu dude and you dated a Muslim girl or whatever, or if you're a Hindu girl and you were dating a Muslim boy, or a Malayalam boy, or a Malayalam boy dating a Hindu girl, everybody knew that shit was not happening. That shit was not happening, bro. Forbidden love. Look, my question is, how do I get into this Ismaili Center, man? But onto the politics side of things, we're not going to talk about Mamdani and people cursing his ass out on Instagram and stuff. It seems like the whole Trump thing is going to actually go smoother than we all expected. But on the stuff of politics, right after the government opened back up, and thank God for that. Shout out to, I forget if it was the Houston airport, another airport, that gave these TSA agents 10K checks, because do they deserve it? I don't know. Sure, they're keeping the sky safe. I spend a lot of time in the sky, so you know what? Cool, give them the 10K checks. A piece of the Epstein file came out, and it has sent a lot of thoughts into a spiral. What do y'all actually think is in these things? What do y'all actually think is in these files at this point? Because I'm kind of curious, right? I'm kind of curious where it's just like, this has been a subject matter for an entire election, in addition to what is now year one of Trump's presidential term. And they released these emails right off the backbone of, all this stuff going around being like, oh, so it was the Democrats' fault that the government was shut down. And it seemed like a strange move, mainly because they didn't let shit out. Like, there wasn't really anything about it. It had a mention of Trump, but it basically said, hey, he won't play with the Tootsie Rolls. So, what do we do about this? And if anything, it kind of helped him. Is that weird? If anything, it helped him. The email literally mentions, hey, he won't play with the candy in the jar, What do we do about this? How do I get him on board? Don't worry, soon enough we'll get him. We'll get him. And once he's playing with that candy in the jar, we're going to take a couple pictures and he's ours. But it didn't work out. It didn't work out. I think these emails helped him. Now, don't get me wrong. Like this whole the Epstein files and the all the island and all that stuff. I would like it to come to fruit. I would like it to come to, the light of day, where we can finally look at this and say, okay, you know what, this person's guilty, this person's guilty, this person needs to be locked up, this nasty ass person. Because look, I don't want a child predator as our president. I'm not gonna lie. That's a bad standard. It's a bad look. It's a bad look. But at the same time, every I didn't realize that these files were in circulation during the last election. And at any point, Democrats could have used that, right? Democrats could have used that to come out and say, like, hey, this dude's nasty. This is what he was doing. This is who he was with. And then it gets released. And now on the backbone of these emails, it seemed like the Republicans are trying to push out these files to get this just shit out of the way, right? Hey, you know what? Fuck it. Y'all keep saying this and that. Let's just put it out there. Let's put it out there and see what people say. But it got blocked. Now, I understand there's a layer to it that is, hey, these victims have to be protected, right? You don't want to go out there and oust a bunch of names that would easily find its way back to the people that were actually on the island, the people that were actually trafficked, the victims. So there is a sensitivity matter, and then how do you be delicate about this? How do you get it out into the public? But at the same time, it can't be rocket science, right? It can't be that insane to redact all these files. On a daily basis, I go into ChatGPT and ask it maybe about 10 questions a day. Truly. And I boss it around sometimes. I say, you know what? I didn't like that shit. Make it shorter and do it again. Do it again, but this time give me more detail. I go back and forth with it, but I'm allowed to do that because of the power of this computing process, right? It's what I literally pay for the subscription. Why not do that? So with the power of technology where it's at, you can't tell me that it has to be that hard to redact these files from any personal information. That's where my 33% is going. I need the Aga Khan Foundation to run the government for a little bit. Oh my God. Someone tell Aga Khan to holler, because I'm trying to get him on the podcast. But this Epstein file thing, I'm just kind of over it. I'm just kind of over it now. I understand there's probably some more nasty ass names out there, and I would love to get them locked out, but I can't be too much of a hypocrite, right? Imagine if your group chat got leaked. Would you be shitting bricks? Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe you guys are all good people. You've never said a racial slur. You've never said anything bad in your life. Maybe I'm the only one. I would be terrified. If anyone went back in time and opened up that app called GroupMe that existed in college or today, and they just scrubbed through all of the iMessages and just put it online and sent an email to my employer and said, hey, I think this guy works for you. I think this guy makes money at your company. And here he is saying he doesn't like any WNBA players. Huh? Don't get me wrong. That's not true. We're just we're speaking in hyperbole right now. That would be terrifying. Now, like I said, I want these nasty ass people to get caught, but is it going to happen? I don't know, bro. The way that this government works and the speed of this shit, who knows? And now they're talking about this 50-year mortgage. The 50-year mortgage. Now, look, I bought a house in 2019 on a 15-year note. And I got a great interest rate at the time, about 3%. Now, this was before everything kind of went to the fucking 7 and 8 and 9 that it's at right now. And I had no idea what I was doing. Right. My brother-in-law convinced me easily. I didn't really know what I was doing with money. I was living at home. My friend Kunal was, a friend of the show, was moving to Dallas, and I was like, hey, let's room together. It would get me to let me an opportunity to get out, and then I'll be in uptown Dallas where it's all at. And I bought this, it was always between the 15 and 30. And it's like, okay, you know what? 30 is a long time. I'm really trying to be a little bit more aggressive with this. So then you need to pay it down fast. You own this house, you own this asset. Next time you sell it off, bang, you got some money in the bank. Now the 50-year mortgage, yes sir, 50-year mortgage Trump introduced. And I don't know what traction it's had, but I kind of like it. Because oftentimes, I think people own one house for the majority of their lives. I think it is rare that people own more than two homes. So actually, speaking of, let's just ask ChatGPT, how many people own more than one home in their lifetime? Did it go? Oh, it didn't go. How many people own more than one home in their lifetime? Because my assumption would be the majority of people buy one house in their lifetime and that's it. They plant seeds there. It is what it is. In 2022, total number of second homes was about 6.5 million properties, representing 4.6% of total U.S. housing stock. Among individuals aged 30 through 49, about 6% reported owning a second home. The average length stay in a given home is relatively short for homeowners in the U.S. The median tenure was about 13 years. Oh, okay. So some estimates suggest that people might own 2 to 3 homes in a lifetime. First home, upgrade home, perhaps retirement home. And those are more anecdotal. Okay. So this isn't a stat that they've tracked down to an extent. But people do move on from one house to another. But I guess with the 50-year note, you have smaller payments, so you have more money to put into circulation of the government. You're still paying interest to a bank that's fucking capitalizing off of you because of 50 years. You're never actually paying off any principal at that point. But then you sell that bitch, and then you move on. And this is all under the assumption that the housing market continues to go up as it normally has in history. But a 50-year, that idea of like, okay, you know what? I have a small monthly payment. The rest of my income is going back into the economy. And now I in 50 years time, when, normally you're buying your house in your early 20s, maybe you're 30, 80, you own this house. Is that a little late to fully own a house? I think so. In my opinion, I think it is. But at the same time, who the fuck cares? At least your quote unquote rent payment is going somewhere. It may not be all going to, the actual principal of the house. And most of the time you're giving it to interest and it's going to some bank. But that's okay, right? That's not bad versus you're paying rent. It's just going to some private shell corporation that came over here and bought a bunch of complexes and said, hey, we're going to spruce these things up and give all of our investors a 7% return. Damn. See, so you know what? Damn. Now that I think about it, that's kind of shit. Because you do want the money going back to your investors, but then these people are just flipping shit. That 50-year shit kind of got me flipped now. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are. I'm still on the fence of it, and who knows? It hasn't even gone anywhere. And on our last topic of the day, first before that, the Blue Origin space launch was an absolute success. I'm glad that it's going to bring out some competition in SpaceX. Anytime that there's competition like this, it always breeds better and better results, whether it was us against Russia back in the day and we ended up staging the moon landing, bang, we did it. Maybe we didn't actually go there, but we set a precedent that we are the fucking best, and we still don't like y'all's ass. Now, this has been fun, right? SpaceX has been dominating this shit. What does NASA do anymore? I'm actually perplexed. Do they just have shit in orbit and then they're just kind of monitoring that shit? Has anyone looked up the layoff rates at NASA? Because all I've been seeing in the fucking sky lately is airplanes, SpaceX, Blue Origin, and birds. That's all. I haven't seen a NASA launch. Brother, when was the last time you seen a NASA launch? We have 2 whole generations that have not seen a single NASA launch. They've seen a SpaceX launch. Shit, in LA, I used to just be sitting there on a casual Saturday. I used to see a spaceship flying through the sky. That's what I'm talking about. That's how you drive forward. What is NASA doing? But anyways, Blue Origin, on November 13, 2025, Blue Origin's heavy lift rocket New Glenn successfully launched from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, carrying a pair of spacecraft for NASA's Escapade. That's just a long word for the mission. Abbreviation for the mission. The 2 Escapade spacecraft are destined for Mars, where they will study how the planet's thin atmosphere interacts with solar wind and how Martian atmospheric loss occurs. Importantly, this flight marked the first time that New Glenn's first stage booster was successfully landed on a recovery barge in the Atlantic Ocean. It was only the second flight of New Glenn and the first commercial operating customer flight with NASA as the customer payload. Oh, I guess I can't clip that shit up. And the first commercial operational customer flight with NASA as the customer's payload. I'm kind of confused. Having NASA as a customer for a Mars science experiment boosts Blue Origin's credibility and market position. Oh, so they're broke. NASA's broke, so they're going off of Blue Origin's tail. And if for those that don't know who Blue Origin is the people that sent Katy Perry and all those ladies to space and then brought them back, which is the Amazon Jeff Bezos company. So I do like this for the space race in general, and I kind of like that the competition is breeded in-house, right? It's all in this country, so then that leads to whatever it may lead to. Anyways, last story of the day, Nico Harrison. I almost scheduled an emergency podcast. I almost brought back Kunal's Corner. And just did it myself. Said, hey, fuck it. We started this podcast. Might as well keep it going. And you know what? If there's any traction for this, let me slow down. Everyone's been telling me to slow down a little bit on the pod. If there's any traction for this, I need y'all to tell me. Because, now don't get me wrong, my man's busy doing his masters and all that stuff, but I can run it for a bit. I haven't been watching that much sports, but I can start getting into it. And then we can start getting some episodes out. So if there is an appetite for it, please let me know. And in the meantime, I'll just keep working my way to convince Kunal. And before that, though, we have to cover this topic just because it's so near and dear to me. Nico Harrison gets fired. Now, quick summary of this. Nico Harrison's the Dallas Mavericks owner. I don't know how long he was kind of started, but he was there for the good years also. I don't want to be fully like, I hate this dude. So I'm trying to be somewhat subjective before, towards the end, I'll be like, F this dude. Nico Harrison, most famously known for trading Luka Doncic, a 25, 26-year-old entering his prime, who they classified as a little overweight and not a winning basketball formula, to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, who has has been injury prone for the last handful of years. An amazing power forward, though. Don't get me wrong. Anthony Davis is an amazing power forward. History will tell its time. And then some other fellas that no one really cared about. But then on the backside of that, it led to this number one pick. Which ended up being Cooper Flagg, this prospect that everyone's been going crazy for. And honestly, I've been enjoying to an extent. Do I think he's going a little too hard? Maybe. But you know what? If he's this good as a rookie, I can't complain. Now, to boost up Nico, obviously this trade was the most hated thing amongst all Dallas people. It left me in a state of like literally I felt like I was in a coma to some extent, where the whole time I was just, I just couldn't feel anything. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't breathe. And you're just left in this state of, there's no way this is true. There's no way this is actually happening. But then as time went on, you find out, oh shit, who knew that he even had this power? Why didn't we get more out of the trade? You spent these past 8 years right after Dirk is coming to a close. We're building this relationship with this guy, and you have all the marketing things behind it. You sell the jerseys. He's the main number one Dallas Mavericks jersey sold. You create the taglines, Luka Magic. You create the tagline, Luka Magic, and we're enjoying it. We're having a great time. I had season tickets during his tenure. Made it all the way to the final. Made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals. Lost to the people that would go on to be champions, the Golden State Warriors. Then we went to the finals. We lost to the Boston Celtics. And then the year after that, a little bit of injury, and he gets traded away. Now, Nico Harrison was in charge during all of this success at the same time. But don't get me wrong. Yes, I agree that this experiment was very young to kind of call it a day, right? It hasn't even had time to come to light. It hasn't even had time to let out Kyrie, Cooper Flag, Anthony Davis. Who knows what Max Christie will be? All these people to be on the floor at the same time hasn't even happened yet because Kyrie's been injured. But at the same time, you can't have your fan base this angry. You can't have your fan base, and obviously the Mavericks are off to a very rough start at like 2-6 or something. I watched the last night's game against Portland. I could barely name two players on Portland, and we're struggling to beat them. This team's bad, bro. This team's horrible. I don't even understand how. And so obviously, like I've said, and I've always said it on this podcast, there always has to be a singular villain. There always has to be a person that we can point to and say, we hate you. All of this, we blame you for it. And every single home game, you would hear these chants, fire Nico, whatever other chant that there was. And it honestly started to sound like and feel like a hostile environment. Even players are on record talking about that they hated playing at home because it was just like, yo, as soon as we would start losing it, it would just be this flurry of hate where everyone's just saying, we fucking hate this guy. We kind of enjoyed where we were at. If we were losing, at least we were losing with our boy. Now we're losing without our boy, and the boys over there in sunny California hooping. So all of these things kind of end up in this massive cocktail where it's just like you almost have no choice as an organization other than to fire this dude. Do I think it's a tad unfair? No. You've made a singular decision that turned an entire fan base against you. And you can't run an organization while that same fan base is just calling for your head on a spike. I get it. Has he had some success with his tenure here? Yes. Was this move probably the wrong move? No matter who had to sign off on it, whether it was him that made the trade or not, it doesn't matter. He was the villain. He was the person that got put in the spotlight and said, hey, he entertained this trade to Rob Pelinka. He made this move maybe with a GM sign-off. Jason Kidd didn't know about it. None of these Mavericks players knew about it. Not the ex-owner knew about it. Mark Cuban didn't know anything about it. But there has to be a villain. And so now what? Personally, I thought it would be great to just time to clean house. Clean house. You know what? I like Jason Kidd to an extent. But fuck it. Clean house. The owner, the GM, the coach. Send everyone out. And let's start new. Let's rebuild this thing here. And then all these players that we have on these big contracts and they're not even playing. Hey, you know what? The Lakers, do y'all need something else? Because at this point, it is the Los Angeles Dallas Mavericks Lakers. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys for listening. I wish you guys a lovely week. Don't forget, don't be scared. You don't need that many house cameras. If it's a little dark outside, go outside. But just do it cautionly. Just do it with caution. Don't be too silly. Just keep that knife on you if you have to. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And I will see you guys all next week. If there's any topics that you guys want to bring up, please feel free to DM them. And with that all being said, do I have anything going on in my life? A couple more California trips. This baby's getting closer. We need to get some guests on here, huh? Anyways, I'll see you guys next week, and goodbye.